have a weekend where you just need to be alone? Not a weekend. I have like days, hours that I just need to be alone. I require alone time in order to be my best self around other people. And that's something that I wish I would have known when I was younger, because I got so hostile. I got like angry. So now that I've learned that, I spent this weekend, most of it alone, and then I recharged a lot, and then I went out and did my social activity. Bella, no. So that's what this is about. Living a normal life, spending that time alone. No need. No. Sit. Doing my future self favors and trying to spend some time allowing myself to recharge after a week before doing some social activity. She does this anytime I'm not giving her attention. If I'm on the phone or talking to someone else, or literally anything that doesn't involve giving her, she knows I'm doing something else. This is her. We're working on it. She goes to daycare and training tomorrow, if that matters. Bella, sit. 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 Stay. Good girl. Good girl. Sit. Stay down. Stay. So let me know. Do you require alone time? I guess I'm like an introverted extrovert. I think I'm pretty extroverted, but like that requirement for alone time is so deep and so real. Anyway, that's what this is. Lots of alone time followed by some social time.
It hasn't always been easy for me to spend time alone, and I still have moments where it just feels uncomfortable finding my way through time. When I was younger, like in high school, there was serious FOMO. I was always busy playing lots of sports and constantly being on the go, and I didn't have a lot of downtime, and so I was able to fill that with socialization, with friends, and in college, I was constantly busy, and my time was pretty controlled by the schedule of training from the soccer team that I was on. And then after college, I began teaching and coaching, and then went on to get a master's. So there's very little room for having to try to fill time with anything that wasn't always predetermined for me. My first few years of teaching felt pretty lonely, mostly because it was difficult and stressful, but also because I had lost the built-in socialization that college and being on a sports team offers. I picked up running partially because I was a cross-country coach, but also deep down as a way to escape the anxiety of having to fill literally any extra time. Instead of grappling with the emptiness, I just go for a run because doing so made me feel accomplished. When I moved to the Hills, Virginia, I was very alone. I was away from friends and family and had to face the heaviness of downtime. I taught myself how to knit and embroider to try to fill literally any downtime that I could possibly have. Instead of doing it as a light hobby, though, I was incapable of not feeling productive even in these crafts, so I turned both of them into a business, which in retrospect is honestly pretty sad because it shows just how closely tied my sense of self and understanding of my place in the world was to how much I could produce or how I could use time to get ahead. the habit of filling time with hobbies that I told myself were fruitful because I would then sell whatever was made, that continued for a really long time, like 3 years. So I started a side hustle in the city that I live, and eventually that got too big for me to continue while also keeping my job. It was and still is a very good idea. Like, the business is still thriving, but it wasn't the way that I wanted to live my life. And a constant hustle and a constant grind just to make me feel like I was alive and that life was purposeful. It wasn't until my last stint of teaching, like in the last few years, that I started to realize that I was really struggling with this whole concept of being alone. I was going through a breakup and truly didn't even know how to fill my own time, which is so sad. Like, I didn't even know what to choose on TV to watch. And if I did, I felt like I had to multitask because there was no way I could just sit there. Firstly, I promised myself that I would never be codependent again. And then, with this nudge from my amazing therapist, I started seeking out activities that I truly enjoyed just for the sake of doing them. I didn't place any measure on them or try to reach any sort of predetermined goal. Instead, I just focused on finding joy in the act of doing stuff. I found out that I enjoy walking in nature, laying in grass, reading books, hanging out by the water, spending time with friends, listening to podcasts. As simple as these are, like, they seem pretty basic, it unlocked this realization in myself. With time, I was able to detach this deep need that I had to being productive to feel purposeful. I instead worked to tap into my innate worth. We are worthy and are valuable just by being. And while that was a really difficult realization for me to find, coming to that realization changed my perspective, and honestly, I think it shifted my life. It pushed me to improve my friends because I realized how valuable they are to my well-being. It pushed me away from yet another negative relationship and into, I'm pretty sure, the most loving and supportive relationship I ever had. It opened my eyes to just how unhappy I was in the teaching profession, and it allowed me to realize that I didn't have to stay that way. I could push myself towards a completely different path. It seems really small, but realizing that we are in control of our own perception of who we are and what our lives are made up of, we get to decide the direction of our days. We can choose to align our goals to our values. When I realized that I have the power and can choose my purpose, that utterly changed my perspective of myself and forced me towards a more aligned lifestyle and more deeply connected relationships. So here I am to stand as living proof. Being alone isn't always easy, but being alone doesn't have to mean you're lonely. And if we choose to reckon with the power we hold in our own lives and its trajectory, we can choose to value time alone and see it as a space to find our truest, deepest selves. And that, my friend, I've learned firsthand can be life-altering. I mean, I can actually sit alone and actually watch TV without feeling like I absolutely have to do something else. I literally used to feel like my skin was crawling because I was so anxious. And I still do feel that way sometimes, but now I have tools and realizations that make me see that I don't have to be productive or make something for me just to feel settled and know that I'm valuable. The shift in perspective has seemed to play a pivotal role in how I choose to make decisions and how I even force alone time into my life, because it feels really powerful now. Like, I literally set aside time to be alone because I know how much it brings to me. So if you're struggling with being alone, I lovingly challenge and support your efforts in finding out what you enjoy in life and doing all you can to enliven your life with those little moments of joy. I really do think that in the end, that is what life is made up of, how we choose to make it beautiful and romanticize it, even if that's not always easy to do. Thanks for being here. This weekend spent alone was honestly pretty recharging for me, and I can't always say that I would have said that. So I hope you get to enjoy some alone time soon and realize just how awesome you are. See you next time.